Bum 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 bum.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kandwani. Welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 4. Going strong, a lot more consistent than I've ever been in my life, I must say. But I'm pleased to have my guest here, so I'll just let him introduce himself, my lovely guest.
Hey, what's going on, people? My name is Mudiwa, but more commonly known as BK. For those of you that don't know my government name, now you know, so don't judge me for it. It's really great to actually be here, because I've been listening to the podcast, and I really love what you're doing. It is amazing content.
Great.
So I'm just hoping to actually contribute to the conversation.
Do you mind me asking what the BK stands for?
It's a name that I've had since high school. So my last name is spelled Bwakura. So weirdly enough, a lot of people from Zimbabwe actually don't know how to pronounce my last name properly.
I can imagine that it's worse here then.
You have no idea.
Oh, okay.
So back home, it was just one of those situations where I just said, "Look, guys, let's just save all of us the embarrassment," and that's just what it is.
Sounds like you're very considerate then.
I know, eh? Ever the humanitarian, huh? I know, eh?
I wish I could come up with like cool initials to go by, but I don't think KV or VK sounds quite as nice as BK.
Yeah, because there's like a brand of liquor like called KWV. So I'll be like,
Who knows?
Do you really want that connotation? Like you?
I don't mind. Is it premium or is it like the cheap stuff?
Oh, it's bottom shelf swill. It is horrible.
Okay.
It is horrible. It's the
Thanks
sort
for
of
letting
stuff
me know.
that you legitimately use to make those drinks that bartenders set on fire.
Oh,
it's
okay.
not the sort of stuff that you actually enjoy.
All right. So, well, thanks for that introduction. So we just started off with the blessing of the week.
Yeah.
This is someone who's doing great works in the community. So I came across this guy. His name is Roy Alela from Kenya. So I'll just read part of the article. It says, creating a connection with his deaf niece motivated 25-year-old Kenyan innovator Roy Alela to invent a set of smart gloves named Sign.io, which converts sign language movements into audio speech in real time.
How exactly does that work? As in, is it a motion capture thing?
Yeah, sort of like a motion capture thing. So there's like all of these electrical wires in the glove. So I guess it detects the motions and then detects it. Converts it into audio speech.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Hey, what up?
I know. So isn't that
like,
impressive?
It is very impressive, but it's also like low-key like gaming the system, because it's like, okay, I don't speak sign language, so like...
But think of... It's like he was motivated by his deaf niece. So there's people... I don't know sign language, and it's not like... Unless I had someone close to me in my life, I would then go to the lens of learning it.
Yeah.
But there are people... I don't know. It just seems cool to me.
It is, for sure. It definitely is something that could have some amazing real-world applications. But there's also a little part of me that's going, but my G, like... alright, cool. Like, it's a really good thing, you know? Mm-hmm. He's like, alright, cool. So my niece can't communicate with the world as a whole, I guess. I guess that was a motivation.
Yeah.
Which is always, alright, yeah, no. Fair play to you, man. Fair play to you.
So it says, so far, Alela, who is a Royal Academy 2018 Engineering Leaders in Innovation Fellow, has received recognition for Sign.io from the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, which is the world's largest organization for mechanical engineers. So, shout out to Roy.
Yeah, way to kill it, yo.
I know.
Way to kill it. Round of applause. All the people in the back. Yes, Lord. All right.
Okay, so moving on from that, we're not going to pick a news topic. I just know that this past week we had Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know how you feel about that.
Right, so I have an opinion that might be controversial to some. I firmly believe that Valentine's Day is a waste of time.
Okay.
Firmly. Because as far as I'm concerned, Valentine's Day is just a hyper-commercialized excuse for people to give themselves diabetes.
Do you have a girlfriend?
Yes, I do.
And so she got nothing?
Hey, look, there's really no need to go into such things. Come on now. But what I'm saying...
I feel like that's a cop-out. There's really... When I don't know, the past years I've always been like, yeah, Valentine's Day, capitalism. But when you have a boo thing, then you're like... it would be nice to get a card.
It would be nice, but it would be nice to do that kind of stuff throughout the year.
No,
as
that's
well.
true.
So, as far as I'm concerned, Valentine's Day is nothing more than a token. Because for me, if you see Valentine's Day as an opportunity to actually appreciate your partner, there's something wrong in your relationship.
No, that's
So, for me,
one way to
personally, I look at it and I say, you know what? It's a waste of time, it's a waste of money, and it's a waste of people's energy. Because you should be doing that kind of stuff any which way. Like I said.
So you do
I
that
can
for
see
the
your
364 days out of the year,
Come
except
on.
in Valentine's.
Oh, sister, I'm not making that kind of money. Hey.
But it's not about the money. It's like maybe you could handwrite a card, like a handmade card or something.
I wrote her a song.
Oh, that's thoughtful.
You see what I'm
Nothing
saying? So it's
beats
like
that.
exactly,
Okay.
yeah. So it's like, it's just one of those things where you go, but do we really have to just boil it down to these 24 hours and say, I love you, mwah, kiss, kiss, what? Come on. Come on.
No, it's just a chance for maybe the people who are extra to go out of their way and
I'm sorry, but if you are extra 365 days out the year, 366 on a leap year if you're feeling froggy.
Okay,
But
that's
all
fair.
I'm saying is, like, if you're an extra person in general, you're just gonna just dive into extra shit, like, head first, every chance you get, because that's just what it is.
You know, I'm not surprised. I feel like you just have a contrarian view about Valentine's Day. Do you feel that way about the rest of the holidays, like Christmas too?
I'm not a fan of Christmas. I am, but
Do you celebrate your birthday?
yes. Oh my days, my birthday. Jesus. Anyone that celebrated my birthday with me knows that my birthday is an excuse for people to make some really questionable decisions.
So your birthday, I guess, out of the year is the only holiday, because I don't see you feeling some kind of way about Easter or Labor Day or.
No.
Okay, so BK's holiday or observed holiday is his birthday.
Okay. Just to be clear, I'm not anti-Christmas, I'm not anti-Easter or any of that stuff, right? But for myself, particularly when it comes to these hyper-commercialized holidays, like Christmas, Easter not so much somehow, but Valentine's Day and the rest of it, I look at them and I go, like, what's the core story behind these, like, festivals, right? And at the core of them is just about spending time with people you care about and actually appreciating them for what they bring to your life, right? So for myself, like, the reason why I have a slight aversion to celebrating Christmas is because of what I've seen in North American society. Christmas here is more of an excuse to buy people's affection with gifts and stuff, which is, all right, cool. If that's how your family functions, that's how your family functions. Personally, that doesn't float my boat.
Yeah.
That's just the truth. So, well, that's my truth. So for me, yeah, it's Christmas as an idea is a brilliant one, and I love it for that, because it brings people together and it says, you know, let's actually just set time aside to just say it's just you and me and the other people that we care about, and, like, let's actually just catch up, take it easy, you know, like open up a bottle if you're into that, or, like, let's share some, like, gifts that have some thought in them. What I don't like is when you're chilling at home on, like, December 12th and you're watching YouTube videos and you see, like, Swarovski ads coming on and be like, get her what she deserves for Christmas.
As soon as Thanksgiving's over, they hit you with all
Can
the
you
Christmas
imagine?
ads.
Can you imagine? It's like,
it's
like, get her what she deserves this Christmas. Get her a Swarovski diamond. Now only 60% off. What garbage is this?
Oh my goodness. Okay. I just want to circle back. So you mentioned that you wrote a song for your girlfriend.
Yeah.
So I always wonder with artists, how many songs can you make for someone and then they'll still, like, feel special, like it's like something like, oh wow, someone wrote me a song? Because if someone's an artist, couldn't you write me a song, let's say, every 3 months or, like, every year?
That depends on the artist, that depends on the relationship. But for myself, for example, I write when I feel inspired.
Okay.
So in this particular situation, I wrote the song knowing that, you know what, like, this is the way that I feel about her and this is where I'm at. And I figured, hey, you know what, whatever,
Okay.
like, let's just actually record it. And oddly enough, like, that song is going to be on a project that I have coming out soon. So the fact that I do that, it means a lot to her, right? So when I showed her the demo, she said, oh, who are you singing about? That was
Yeah.
the first question. Like, who are you singing about? And then I made the mistake of saying guess. And then she was like, you.
Oh, wow.
What are you talking about?
You
Guess?
don't play those games with women.
I thought it would be funny.
No.
I really thought it would be funny.
No.
But then it ended up backfiring on me, and I was left kind of looking at her sideways, going, you know what? I'm sorry.
So did you actually drop her name, or it's just like vague?
I didn't drop her name. No.
But that feels like a cop out, because you could pass it on to the next girl and be like, "This song is about you."
Look, in the actual song, there are a couple like subtle winks,
Okay.
so she'll know.
Okay, that's good.
Other people might be like, "Oh, that's some sweet."
Because it could apply to someone else too. Like, people don't catch the subliminals. I just wonder.
Honestly, you know what? If people feel that way, then that means that I've done my job, right?
Okay.
Because that just means that the song is hyper applicable.
Okay, that's good. I just don't know, because it's like, what if you make this song and then you name it the person's name, and then what happens when the relationship is over? Will the artist keep it as an archive of what happened in their life, or is it just something people don't even want to go back to?
That depends on the artist, because it depends on how that relationship fell apart. If it went down in a giant flaming ball of regret, yeah, you might just want to just pull that off and just go, you know what, no one needs to hear this anymore.
Okay.
And I know people that have done that, but other people, their approach is, you know what, this song chronicles a certain section of my life, and I want to keep it out there so that I remember the lessons that I learned from it. So it's
Okay. Something kind of related. What do people who post pictures of their significant others on Facebook? So if you keep, this is weird enough, but I've seen a girl keep photos up of all of her different boyfriends, which is just weird.
that's tricky now, huh?
Yeah, so
That's tricky.
how do you feel? So like you're saying that, so it's like this is where I was in life.
Yeah.
Some people scrub everything, and that's how you can tell things
Just
are
like
over.
me. I
Okay.
believe in the purge. I call
Okay.
it the purge.
All right.
Everything must go.
Everything must go.
Photos, tagged photos, even mutual friends. I'm like, nah.
You let go of the friends too?
They were her friends before, so they shall remain her friends. It's about me picking sides. Come on. I purge. When I say purge, I'm literally talking about for the next 12 hours. There's no mercy or sympathy. Everything must go.
Do you ever stalk? Or would you admit to stalking? So once you purge, that's it. Never looking back.
I get tempted sometimes,
Okay.
to be honest. But the honest truth is that it's a lot better once you've purged to just try not to look back.
No, that's
Because
true.
if you look back, then that's when you start to think, oh, what if, and then you start to add certain you start to add a certain tint to situations that were probably less than ideal or less than
that's
comfortable.
very true.
So you start to look back on certain fights and you go, you know what, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
Or you
rose-colored
start-
glasses.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like, so for me, as far as I'm concerned, it's just better to not.
For me, I think sometimes people want to see that the person is not doing as well without them. It's like an ego thing.
Can I be honest with you? I used to do that when I was younger. I'm not even gonna lie. I was so petty. I'm still petty now, but I was petty. I was one of those dudes. I was like, you know what? How's your life going?
Wow.
You haven't progressed? Good. Yeah, good. I was petty
But
when I
growth,
was younger.
growth came, and we've grown up, and we
Small-
wish people the well. We wish people well when we part.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like I wish them the best, but my opinion is, don't ever talk to me again. it's just honestly, like, it's called the purge for a reason. It's like, you know what, like, we ended things for a reason,
No, that's true.
and it's just one of those things where even if we end up talking again and if we try to be friends, those bad memories and those volatile situations that caused the friction to begin with are still going to be there, and they're still going to be present when you talk to this person. So you might say, no, we're good now, this, that, the third, but at the core of it, you're still not chuffed with that person, and you're still probably very irritated with them. So just don't.
Okay, so this question is a two-parter. So let's say you feel how you feel about Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile, maybe, let's say, if you've ever had a girlfriend who's into Valentine's Day, then what do you do?
Chocolates, movie, flowers.
So you just do it because it's important to her.
that's what a relationship is about, right?
Okay.
It's just about like compromise,
Okay.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
I will do it, and she'll need to understand that he doesn't normally do this kind of shit.
But I thought you said it's not just about Valentine's Day; it's about the rest of the days. So
Yeah. No, but like, when I say that, I'm also talking about he's actually like going out and getting stuff that's
Okay.
Valentine's Day specific. That's what I'm talking about.
okay.
So, and that honestly just boils down to making sure that you have a healthy, communicative relationship with your partner. And as long as you have that, as far as I'm concerned, you're fine. So, if she comes to me and she says, I want chocolate, I want a teddy bear, I want white roses, not pink, not red, I want them white, because I'm a beautiful soul. If she's one of those, all right, you know what, cool. You know what, you chose to date that. That's your person. So, as part of your relationship, you have to compromise and you have to do what you can to, accommodate.
But okay, quick. It's nice to speak to someone and just get like this different mindset. But like you mentioned, if someone is like so insistent and knows what they want, particularly down to a T, like white roses, do you find it's just interesting to me? I know women sometimes expect men to read minds, but how do you feel when someone explicitly states exactly what they want? Is it, I don't know, it just feels weird sometimes saying to someone that I want this exact thing in this color, this size, but like I want it this way.
Yeah. To be honest, for me, my take on it is that you chose to date that person, right? And in my mind, if you're dating someone, you should know enough about them to kind of see things like that coming.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I'm sorry, bro, but you just got to do it. You just got to do it. My only reservation would have to be if it became one of those situations where they're trying to take advantage. That's where I draw the line. And then there as well, it's completely subjective. It's completely dependent on the people in that relationship, what their communication style is, and how they go about, But
I don't know. Sometimes you could just think someone would know that this is what you want. But
no. See, right. See, this is where I take issue with the female mind sometimes. This is where I take issue because for me, as a man, I'm sitting here and I'm going, okay, what? Like when it comes to women and food, Jesus Christ, I know it's a stereotype, but when it comes to women and food, it's like, okay, what do you want to eat? And she goes, I don't know, you pick something. And then you go, oh, let's get Italian. Okay, let's get Chinese. Too greasy. Let's get.
I mean, there's something. Okay, food is different because there's just too many options. But let's say someone's birthday is coming up, and people feel that maybe I dropped subtle hints. Maybe like, oh, don't you think these shoes are nice? Or,
there. That's the problem. There's no such thing as a subtle hint with men. If you want something,
so you have to say it.
Say it. You want to know why, right? Okay, cool. When you walk into a store, right? Let's say you walk into Foot Locker, right? And then they ask you, okay, what size are you? You won't go, I don't really know. Like,
but that's a sales associate who doesn't know you and has never met you.
The logic still stands.
Oh my goodness.
Because if you want something specific or you want something done a certain way, say how you want it done or what you want.
Ladies, you hear?
It's honestly, and I know that people might hate me for saying this, but this is the truth, yo.
Okay.
Like, if you want something, say it.
Okay.
Like, just say it. I guarantee you, the man in your life, or the woman in your life, or your partner, they will appreciate you that much more if you just say, look, real talk, I want this, I want that, I want this. Is it doable?
Okay.
Or like, let's actually talk about it, right?
I don't know.
It's just...
It would be nice to have a partner who could read minds. That's not asking for too much.
I disagree.
And surprise you.
I disagree. Do you really want to be able to read your boyfriend's mind?
No, I don't mean read mind, but just kind of like anticipate what you want and surprise you with the right surprise.
Well, then, okay, see, now, right there, that statement in of itself contradicts itself. How can it be a surprise if they can read your mind? Or
no, they surprise you because you don't know. I mean, they just anticipate what you want. I'm not saying they should read your mind, but they give you what you want, but you weren't expecting to receive it.
So why not just say, look, babe, I want this. That's what I don't understand. That is what I don't understand. So, for example, right, if I want something, I'll go and be like, hey, like, especially if she goes, what do you want?
Yeah.
Because that's often how these conversations start.
Okay.
What do you want? I just
You sound like your relationship is very practical. Healthy, practical, straight to the point. No mind reading.
I actually told her one time, I'm like, look, real talk,
Uh-huh.
if you want something, tell me.
Okay.
It's easier, it's less stress, and like, let's just communicate, please. Right? And it works. I'm just...
Who knew that communication would be so effective?
You know,
Who knew?
because you watch all these TV shows and stuff and you're like, but why are you guys arguing? Like, there's no problem here. If you guys had just said, look, I want cheese pizza, not this pepperoni garbage, you wouldn't be having half of these fights.
Okay. So the lesson from all of this is Valentine's Day
It's a waste of money.
is a waste of money and communication is important.
Communication is king, honestly. And yeah, it's just about like saying what you want when you want it in the most cordial and polite way possible. Because the last thing you want to do is be abrasive either.
That's true.
So just say, hey, look, love, this is where I'm leaning, you know? So can we just actually, like, can we work towards this? Or are we just gonna,
Okay.
you know?
I guess maybe that's like something. So do you feel you've been an effective communicator, like in your relationships and stuff?
Hell no.
No? Because I was
No,
thinking
no.
people, I've seen people joke about maybe creating some sort of Yelp website for like people.
Rate your ex.
Yeah, rate your ex kind
on,
of thing.
on the scale of like 0 to hell no.
No, it's just like a 5-star, and then people can put like comments in there. So they'll just be like, under BK, it would be like, hates Valentine's Day. Look out for that.
Wow. Oh my days.
Yeah, communicate's okay. You have to tell him what you want to get it. So who knows?
Oh my days. No, but for a fact, in my previous relationships, I had to learn some very tough lessons,
Okay.
and it wasn't easy. It takes a lot of self-reflection and a lot of kind of looking at the stuff you've said and how situations may have escalated and stuff in order for you to actually take a step back and realize that, you know what, that was on me,
Okay.
or I didn't allow things to actually just de-escalate and calm down so that we could actually figure things out in a positive manner, because you can fight,
Yeah.
you can argue, you can bicker, and you can really get into the weeds with someone. But the really tricky part is trying to pull yourselves out of that and try to have a constructive conversation. That's the hard part.
Okay.
And honestly, in previous relationships, I wasn't able to do that. And that to me was just testament to my maturity level at that point in my life. And when I realized that, it was a very uncomfortable thing, because everyone is the hero in their own story.
Yeah, the protagonist. Yeah.
Like
You.
exactly.
You.
Like you guys touched on this in a previous podcast. And the honest truth is that sometimes you're the villain. Sometimes you're the one that's not understanding. Sometimes you're the one that doesn't have the patience required to actually hear someone out. And
Yeesh, guys. BK
And-
is preaching.
testify.
Hallelujah.
But it was very uncomfortable. So much so that I legitimately, like, one time after a relationship ended, I really had to take a long, hard look at myself. And for a while, I did not like what I saw.
Okay.
For a while, I realized that, you know, you've got some real issues. Like, you need to take a step back and try and address these issues before you bring someone else into your life. Because the last thing that you want to do to someone that you claim to care about is to bring them into your drama or your issues that haven't even been addressed yet, or issues that you haven't even attempted to resolve. And it's just, you're just doing them a disservice at that point. So, yeah.
this is an excellent segue into what we'll be talking about later today. But do you share these realizations with your guy friends? Are there ever any like heart to hearts about the uncomfortable truths of being a guy, relationships and stuff?
I have had some very real conversations with some of the homies. So, for example, I have this one friend of mine. He was in a relationship for about 4 years, and they broke up, and then they kind of disappeared from each other's lives for about 2 months or so. And then they tried to do the whole friendship thing, which I think was a horrible idea. I actually told him, I was like, bro, this is a horrible idea. You should not do this to yourself.
Yes.
But they tried it anyway. And about a week into them reconnecting and trying to talk again and trying to get back to a place where they could actually have civil conversations, she just laid it on thick. She just said, look, this is my truth. This is why I think we broke up, and this is why I think it didn't work between us.
Yeah.
And and he actually told me that his knee-jerk reaction was to get irritated because he was being called out. Yeah. And he just walked away from that conversation. He said, you know what, I don't want to talk to you right now. Like, I'm trying here. I'm trying to reconnect with you, blah, 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 this, that, the third. And when he told me this, I looked him square in the eye and I said, okay, but did that help anything?
That's true. I think it's very hard, not to interrupt you, but even for me, not for like in any context, it's hard as human beings to receive criticism. Like you said, it's hard to imagine that you're the villain and you're the person who didn't do the right thing. So every time, let's say, be it at work, friends or whatever, and someone calls you out and you're like, me? No. Yeah, kind of thing. But it always takes me a second to like breathe and know that the person isn't attacking you. They're communicating and letting you know that you could do better.
Exactly.
Like,
And so I asked him, did you come away having learned anything? Did it help or whatever? And he said, honestly, I don't know. And then I just pretty much told him, I'm like, look, the first thing that you need to do is to take what she told you, pull your emotions out, and assess it as critically as you can, as objectively as you can.
It's hard to be objective oftentimes.
It is painful. So when I told him this, I also told him that honestly, you have to have a very uncomfortable conversation with yourself. You have to ask yourself the sort of questions that... So let's say, for example, right, when you were younger and you did something really, really dumb at home, your mom would look you in the eye and go, what were you thinking? Sometimes a belt was involved, but... Yeah, we're not really gonna talk about that because trauma. But they would ask you just point blank, like, why? And because it's your mom and they are a person of authority in your life, your emotions don't matter. You just have to tell the truth. You just have to say what you were thinking, and once you say it out loud, instead of just using this narrative in your own head to justify your own actions, once you say it out loud, you realize how moronic it probably was. And that's what I mean when I say that you have to have a very uncomfortable conversation with yourself, because even when you were younger, those conversations were very awkward, they were very uncomfortable, and you did not enjoy having them in the slightest.
No, not at all.
Right? So I told him, like, look, honestly, you need to have a very uncomfortable conversation with yourself, and I guarantee you will not like what you see at first. But you have to accept it, and you have to learn from it and realize that, you know what, I did this. This is part of who I am, because all of your actions, all of your decisions become part of your fabric as a person.
That's so true.
This is a part of you. Now you can do one of three things here. You can live in ignorance, you can deny it, or you can accept it and try to learn from it. Those are your three options. Choose.
I thought guys just talked about soccer or football or golf.
Sometimes we do, to be honest with you. Sometimes golf.
Who knows? There are people who are into it.
I'm still in my 20s.
Hockey, or I don't know what you do in North America.
We're from the motherland. No one watches hockey when you're from the motherland. Come on. But yeah, and a week after I had this conversation with him, he just said, you know what? Because what he told me was that he went home and he sat down and he didn't really know where to begin. So he thought about what she told him, and he had this sort of, I guess, self-reflective period. And then it dawned on him that it was like the root of their issues in that relationship was maturity, right? So once that was resolved, he felt a lot better about the situation. And I haven't heard anything since regarding that situation, but yeah.
Okay. So I guess what we were aiming to discuss, and I'm so glad that I guess the tangent from which this started kind of leads into it, is what's your definition of a man?
See, that my definition of a man, sort of based off of like how I see myself and how I was raised.
Yeah.
A man in my mind is someone that is willing to provide and protect, but also open-minded enough to allow for growth in themselves and in other people.
Okay.
So the reason why I say that is because like provide and protect, that's your classical hyper masculine, I'm the man. But what I often see as the flaw in a lot of current definitions of masculinity, particularly with how society has progressed and changed over the last 40-50 years, is that the room for very honest discussions and the room for personal growth and the room to accept opinions that might challenge the classical idea of masculinity isn't there with a lot of people. So that's why for me it's kind of this like two-sided thing where you go, you can absolutely provide and protect, but you also have to realize that life isn't always going to be within your control, and you can't control everything. So the best thing that you can do is to be open-minded enough to say, okay, when things change, when things fluctuate, I'm flexible enough to learn and to grow and to give other people within like my purview the opportunity to do the same.
Okay. Now that sounds like a very like well-rounded definition. Like you said, you're aware of what currently exists. So what would you say, what definition did you see when growing up, or what definition was taught to you?
Yes. So growing up in Zimbabwe, and I thank my family for this because my mother was one of those women that said, you don't own a person, you don't own a woman. And in Shona culture in Zimbabwe, traditionally, when you get married, for example, when you get married, your wife pretty much becomes yours, as in you actually pay for her.
Yeah, but that's not
Lobola type thing.
That's not. It's debatable.
I know.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like straight traditional.
Yeah,
like
straight traditional.
Like straight old school. Now, obviously, in the situation that I was raised in was very different from that. There were a couple of traits from the hyper traditional, like like she's leaving your house, she's adopting my name, we've paid for her, that's it, boom, deal done.
My family's your family.
Exactly, right? Like my family situation was definitely not like that, but there was still traits of my dad said, you know what, this is my house, my rules, I provide, I do this, I do that, it's my way or you move out.
Yeah.
Which honestly, knowing myself, is fair, because I was a horrible child. Oh my days, I was a nuisance, I was a terror, so much so that I don't want to have kids because I am
terrified yourself.
I am terrified of what will come out of me, because I know for a fact that if I had to raise me, I would have beat the crap out of myself, because
So is it like a nature versus nurture? Are some people just born nuisances? Do they become nuisances?
I don't know, yo. I really don't know. But within the context of my family, I think my dad did a really amazing job of setting the template.
Okay.
Of saying that, you know what, yes, I'm the man, yes, I run this and I do this and I do that. But you also need to remember that there are other people in your life that are trying to do the exact same thing, that are trying to live their best lives, trying to reach goals, that are trying to, grow as people. And for that reason, you just have to give them the space to do that. So for that, like, my dad was an amazing example.
Okay. I'm glad to hear you had an amazing example in your dad. I just, I was either speaking to my cousin about it or saw a video where someone was like, being a provider alone does not
make you a father.
Yeah, it does not make you a father. It does not
Absolutely
make you a
not.
good husband or
Absolutely
someone in a
not.
relationship. So some people feel, I paid the school fees, roof over people's heads, and that's enough.
And unfortunately, that's how a lot of African men see their roles. They say, I built the house, I pay the fees, leave me alone. And they go, my house, my rules, because I built it. The food in your stomach, I pay for that. The clothes on your back, I paid for that.
Yeah.
The pocket money you have, I pay for that. The car you drive, I paid for that. So it's my way or the highway. And I don't think that's a good way to raise children, especially sons.
Yeah.
Because if you raise your sons in that kind of an environment, children are blank slates.
Yeah, they
so
are blank slates.
Whatever they see around them as they grow up is their normal. And raising a child in a situation like that, particularly with how society has changed, it doesn't make sense anymore. Because you can say all those things, and you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Factually, you're not wrong. But you have to explain to them and say, look, I worked for this so that I could give you guys this. And that's what my dad did for me.
Okay.
He said, I work hard so that I can give you boys what I know you deserve. Because you guys deserve a fair shake. You guys deserve as much of an advantage as I can provide.
Okay.
So, honestly, when I was younger, because I'm the firstborn, when I was younger, he didn't really explain that to me. And it makes sense. Why? Because I wouldn't have been able to actually grasp it.
And comprehend it.
Because
then.
it's a very abstract thought, and you kind of need to be out in the world a little bit. But when I turned 16 to 17, that's when he sat me down, and this was the first real man-to-man conversation we had. And he said, look, the reason why I was tough with you when you were growing up, one, because you're a nuisance, but two, you're the firstborn and you have two younger brothers.
Yes.
And you need to be an example for them, because I can only do so much. But you are far closer to them in age and by proxy, relatability.
Okay.
So you have to be the example for your two younger brothers. That's why I was hard on you. And that's why I instilled all these values in you.
Okay.
So when I told you, I did this, I did this, I did that, my house, my rules, this is why.
Okay.
So when he explained it to me, it made a lot more sense. I said, okay, you know what? Yeah, you're right. When I was younger, when he said it, I was like, no, but you as well. Why you tuning me all this?
That's an argument some people have with like corporal punishment versus talking. I don't know what I believe in yet because I don't have my own children. But like you said, explaining the why behind the action. Because some people would get beaten up and then develop a tolerance for it. So you just know, I'll mess up, I'll be hit, that's it.
Can I be honest with you? I laughed at my mother once. And do you know what she said? She said, you're laughing. I'm just going to have your father handle it. And I said, no, it's okay. I was joking. I'm crying. You see, I'm crying.
You know, mothers are like the good cop and then dads tend to be like bad cops. So.
My father was a disciplinarian in my house. This man took no nonsense. He said, who are you talking to, lad? Sorry, boss, man.
Yeah.
Walk away.
So other than your dad, what other examples would you say guys usually draw from for the ideas of masculinity? Did you have like an uncle who stood out in your life, or is it friends from school?
Yeah. I have a solid example for an uncle.
Okay.
He went to the same high school as me. His outlook is that you have to stand on your own 2 feet at all times, because you never know what life is going to throw at you. So you need to be prepared for any eventuality on your own. And when I was younger, I didn't really get it. I just thought, right, he's just senile. He just hates the world. He's got trust issues or whatever. But when I got a little bit older and I actually got to sort of think about where my life was going and had a couple conversations with him as to where his life had gone and the decisions he had made and like the paths he had walked, it became very clear that he wasn't jaded, because that's what I thought it was. He was just jaded. He just hated the world. No, he was being hyper realistic. He was just saying, if push comes to shove, if things get really bad, you need to have a contingency plan in place, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Things can literally turn left for you tomorrow.
In an instant.
And that's it.
Yeah, it's all
and
over.
if you don't have something in place, be it a financial safety net or family that you can call on or something, anything, if you don't have anything, that's it.
Okay, so in thinking of, or at least being able to stand on your own 2 feet and always having a contingency plan, not that it makes me want to ask you about weaknesses, I guess, and how easy it is for you to admit that you maybe don't have it all together or that you need help. Is that something that you've struggled with? Is it something that comes easily to you?
Right.
So I guess because there's the male ego and pride and all of that stuff.
Yeah. So it took a long time. I still have issues with it, to be honest with you. Because as an African man, you're trained to subdue your emotional
Push
side.
them all down.
You are trained to say, you know what? You don't panic. You don't crack under pressure. You just get up and go and cope with it. And if you feel sad, if you feel down, if you feel depressed, you deal with it on your own, in your own space with no one around you.
Do people actually deal with it, or do they just suppress it?
People deal with it in healthy ways, unhealthy ways.
Yeah.
Like, some men go to the gym and they work themselves beyond their natural limits.
Yeah.
And other men, they turn to alcohol. Other men, they turn to other things. And unfortunately, others, they don't know how to deal with it and they get violent. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But for myself, like I said earlier, when we were talking about communication skills, it's pretty much the exact same thing, because African men often are not taught how to communicate emotion and feeling, because we're not taught emotions and feelings. We're taught get up, work, provide, go, 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 go. There's no time to be crying. There's no time to be airy-fairy with your feelings and thinking about abstract thoughts about... There's no time.
I tell my dad I love you, and he's like, thanks.
He gets uncomfortable. He gets really uncomfortable. Like, really uncomfortable. Right?
It's the funniest thing. Or like, I love you, Dad, and then he sends like clapping emojis. I'm like, what
You see what I'm saying? It's weird. It's the funniest thing. Like, okay, so if you have an African parent, right? If you have an African father, sorry.
Yeah.
And you want to really make them uncomfortable, just say, Dad, I just want to say I really love you and I appreciate you. Watch him clam up.
Yeah.
This man will close quicker than anything else. I'm talking about cheetah fast here, like lightning. You'll be like,
Yeah.
Like, I've watched grown men, the biggest, burliest of men, go, hey, and totally
Just
seize
squirm and just don't know what do I do?
That's because like feelings isn't something that we're taught how to deal with.
Okay.
And as a result, for myself, that's something that I still struggle with, because that's just how I was raised. Right now, as amazing an example as my father was, emotionality and stuff wasn't something that he really was able to convey up until much later on.
Okay.
Like, even now, things are a little bit tricky when it comes to like communicating emotions. We can talk about life until the sun comes up. We can talk about plans, like financial plans, figuring out what we're going to do with that farm, figuring out what we're going to do with these cows, with this and that, blah, blah, blah. We can talk about that stuff until we lose our voices.
Yeah.
But try to say, boss, I love you. Hey!
So, I guess given in the context, we're in North America now, and I know that, let's say for African Americans or Black people here, there's all of these nuances and like slavery that have also shaped the idea of masculinity and that display of emotions. So it's like you come from Africa and then here living in diaspora, it's like trying to reconcile these different things, because you come here, all these negative stereotypes,
and you get treated like one.
Yeah, and you do get treated differently from everyone else. So how has it been for you navigating this space where just because of the color of your skin, you're immediately thought of as a threat? And you're tall, you're... are these muscles?
What do you think they are?
Yes, this big muscly guy.
With dreadlocks and
Yeah,
tattoos.
with dreadlocks and tattoos.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I mean, absolutely, I get looked at a certain way. And the way that I've reconciled it in my own mind is that they don't know me.
mm-hmm.
So whatever they're seeing, those are their own preconceived notions. And I used to get offended by it because by them doing that, it's hyper dismissive of who I am as a person. They're just, but to be honest with you, it's what human beings do. We judge because putting people in boxes is easier for us. Like that's what we do as a
our
species,
brains
right?
to compute. Yeah.
That's just what it is. But for myself, sort of navigating life in North America, I have had a far easier time than I think others have because of the friend circle that I have around me.
Okay.
I've had the sort of friends that have checked me on a lot of stuff that I didn't even know would be a problem. So, for example, it's illegal to be gay in Zimbabwe, right?
Yeah, Zambia
So,
too.
when I landed here and I went to Davie Street for the first time, Mandem was shook. I'm like, yo.
For everyone
Oh,
who's not from
snap.
here, Davie Street is... What's the best explanation for Davie Street?
Davie Street is a place where people can freely express themselves without any sort of judgment, right? And it doesn't run in a contrarian manner to standard North American society because in general, North American society is far more accepting than
of course.
what I'm used to back home. But when I say that if you take your box standard Zimbabwean and drop them on Davie Street, they will literally not know what to do with themselves. Because there's a large gay community
Same
on
for
Davie Street.
every
Right?
Zambian too.
So when it comes to adapting and sort of understanding my own masculinity in the city, because in my mind, the way that I see it, the reason why it's illegal to be gay in Zimbabwe is tied into partially like this hyper masculine, we are men, we make the rules, and it says so in the Bible, blah 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 blah, right?
Yeah.
Which is a whole other discussion in of itself.
Yeah.
But I'm convinced that a good part of it has to do with this whole idea that we are men, we make the rules. So for myself, coming from that society and landing here and seeing what I saw, and I got checked for it.
Okay.
Because when I started university, I was in the dorms, and on my floor was a floor of about 30 people or so.
Was it the mixed?
I was on
all guys?
all guys floor.
Okay.
And there were 2-3 guys on that floor that were gay.
All right.
So even back home, I didn't really understand that law. I said, but that's got nothing to do with you. Like, why are you getting involved in what people are doing in their own bedrooms? Like,
I know.
I didn't understand it, but I didn't question it because back home you kind of don't want to go against the grain on that one because people be like, oh no, you're gay too. But right, so I figured, hey, you know what, like, and there, yeah, and so I sat down with him and I said, yo, like, help me understand because I want to be better equipped
Yeah.
to understand the sort of stuff, because these aren't conversations that I had in the open back home.
Yeah.
And we must have sat there for about 2 hours, and we were just talking about his life experiences, talking about what I saw, talking about Zimbabwe, talking about like what he's had to deal with coming from small town BC or whatever. And I realized that small town BC is a lot like what happens in Zimbabwe. Like, it's a very closed culture, so it's a very tight-knit community, and once there's a standard in place, that's just what it is. And I realized that, you know what, like, I can still be myself. I can still be a proud African man and still say, you know what, you're gay, cool, and not have them conflict, because back home they were in constant conflict on some, oh, so you're friends with like gay people, so you must be gay. Like,
association.
No, but I'm not though. All because this person is living their life the way that feels natural to them, and I'm okay with that. All of a sudden, you're miscategorizing me.
Yeah, I think that's a great example of like the two differences. That's something, because I know even in Zambia, it's exactly like as you described it. And I mean, I think people would still get imprisoned for having same-sex relationships and
Yeah.
and all of that. But drawing from that, what differences have you found in the definition, I guess, of a man in North America and the definition of a man in Africa? So this is in the context of everyone, be it white, whatever color.
Oh,
How do
damn.
they define it here?
I think here. I think here, men here, they feel threatened.
Feel threatened?
And I don't understand why. I really don't understand why. But
Okay.
there are a lot of men here that feel threatened because their idea of masculinity isn't well rounded, in my opinion. So since it's not well rounded, and once again, since they're not open minded
Yeah.
to accept other people's opinions and give people the opportunity to grow and speak their minds, there's conflict. And nowadays, from what I've seen, just from news articles and just sort of just seeing what goes on when I'm just out in public, there are a lot of men that feel as though they can't be quote unquote men anymore because of what's going on in North America.
Oh, the Me Too? Or
Yeah,
this
things
is
like
more
that.
women in school
Yeah.
and women making more money.
Yeah, things like that. And,
Okay.
and I don't understand why they feel threatened by it. Because in my mind, there's no threat to your masculinity here. These are literally people just voicing their perspectives on the world. Like how this is the thing that I don't understand the
Yeah.
most. Men in North America that say, I'm not a feminist. Like, huh? Dude, what do you mean? Like,
It boggles my mind.
I don't understand that because for me, the way that I see it, if I have a daughter,
Yeah.
right, and I have a son, and they're twins,
Yeah.
right, they went to school for the exact same
As
thing.
equal as
Right.
possible, as equal as you can make it.
If I have a son and a daughter, right, they both identify as male and female, right, same age, same height, they went to the same school,
Same grades.
same grades, same program and everything, right, and then they go to the exact same company, and they work in the exact same department, doing the exact same job. And my daughter's making like 20 to 30% less.
Make it make sense.
All because she has the potential of having children and like people don't want to have to pay women for maternity leave. And they say, but
Make it make sense for me, please.
it's
people.
like I don't understand that because in my mind, what's the issue with paying them the same? And that's essentially what feminism is at its core.
Yeah.
It's equal returns and equal opportunity.
For the same work, basically.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
equal work. Like
Yeah.
it's like I don't understand that because I guarantee you, if all these dudes that said, "Oh, I'm not a feminist," if they had daughters and their daughter came home from work one day and said, "I missed out on a promotion because like Tom got it."
Yeah.
You're like, obviously his first question would be like, why did Tom get it?
Yeah.
And if she says, I don't know, he'll be like, what do you mean you don't know? There must be some reason. And then she says, well, our productivity is the same. We earn the same right now. And I've actually been outperforming him, but he still got it. He will be mad. He'll say, but my daughter did this and did that. And that's what I don't understand because a lot of times people that spew this incredibly ignorant rhetoric,
Yeah.
they flip it as soon as they have a daughter
Yeah.
or as soon as they see it happening to their sister or their mother. They flip the rhetoric. And that's what worries me the most is the fact that they aren't able and or willing to have these conversations before it hits them personally.
Imagine that.
I don't understand
I
that.
guess a topic only becomes relevant when it hits close to home, right? When
Which
you
is
have
fine.
no like example or anyone close to you, then. But like for you, like let's say it took you coming to Canada and living on a dorm residence with a couple of gay guys
Yeah.
for you to be like, oh, you now see them as people.
Yeah.
And for me, it happened in a sense. I had a coworker, and I'm like, these are people. Like it doesn't need
There's
to be
nothing wrong
vilified or
with it, yeah.
demonized as it is back home, where you would go out of your way to persecute someone, not give them service or treat them differently.
See,
So-
but there's a fundamental difference between not having the information at hand and having the information
And
at
not
hand
doing anything
and
with it.
still
Yeah.
denying it and saying no. Because one of them is just ignorance due to a lack of knowledge.
yeah,
And then there's willful ignorance saying, you know what, I hear what you're saying, but I just disagree with it because my feelings are hurt. Why?
okay. I'll just ask you this: how many do you cry freely? And how many times have you cried in your life?
I don't cry freely. That's just that's just what it is. Like I have cried, and I honestly don't know how many times, because the sort of people that count that are very...
No, I'm not saying counting it in a sociopathic way, but it's not, some people are just like, bruh, I've only cried once. Like, you only say, like,
That's
black
a
men
lie.
are only allotted a number of times to cry. Let's say when your mom dies or your wedding, and
That's
2 times and that's
That
it.
is nonsense. That is nonsense.
I know, but it's just to know how comfortable you are with feeling your feelings, like you said. So,
I can feel my feelings, but
And
I'm
do-
not gonna cry.
do you allow yourself to feel feelings?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think that's part of being human. I think that's part of just having a genuine human experience. Like, you can't dismiss something that's coming from inside of you. Because if you do,
It'll come out some other way.
it'll come out one way or another.
So, like you said, so let's say in the African context, you're told to suppress whatever emotions you're going through and deal with them on your own. So, do you feel you were equipped, or this is something you had to learn on your own and how to handle those emotions? So, when I say feel them, it's like where you're free enough to, let's say, even discuss them with like your friend or something like that. Be it a bad breakup, be it disappointment, work, school, or you just push it down and keep it moving.
So, my internal process is that I try to think about things before I start to talk about them, because I like to, well, I don't like to do it. I guess it just kind of happens organically. I just end up looking at what may have transpired, and I end up looking for some rationale, some logic, so that I can understand it. And if I can't, then that's when I seek advice and I go, okay, I need your input on this one, bruv, because I don't know what exactly is going on, and I don't know how to process this. Maybe having an outside perspective
Okay.
is helpful. So when it comes to dealing with my own emotions, I try to deal with them on my own as best as I can, and when I can't, I talk to people that I trust,
Okay.
because I think that's a healthy way to go about it, you know?
No, for sure. Do you have a mentor, or are these just like your friends who you do you,
These are just friends.
just friends? Okay.
Yeah.
Would you mentor someone based on where you're at now and some of the problems that you do see with society's ideals of masculinity?
I would be open to it, but it's one of those things where I don't know if I'm able to guide someone just yet, because not because I'm scared or because I'm hesitant or anything like that. Well, I am hesitant, but it's literally just because I don't believe that I have enough life experience
Okay.
to actually sit someone down and say, okay, this is how I think you should approach this, how I think you should approach that.
When would you feel that you've had enough life experience? 40?
I think attaching a number to it is rather risky, because if I hit 40 and I'm still in the club going, some people will be like, but you as well, your life is sad, huh? No, I think you know when you know, right? You know when you've gone through enough in your life to say, you know what, this is knowledge that I feel as though I have to share. So, like what we've been talking about today, that's sort of what I've experienced and where my life is at and what I've learned and the rest of it. And I think it's helpful for someone to actually hear this.
Yeah.
But actually taking someone under my wing and going, right, it's you and me, let's see what's going on. I don't know. I really don't know if I can commit to that yet, because it's a lot. Because the last thing you want to do is to lead someone astray.
Okay, sure. But maybe not like as a mentor, like, with the formal title, but you are the firstborn and you have brothers. So do you pass down these lessons that you learn to them
Absolutely.
as they... Okay.
Absolutely. And it started just organically. So for example, my youngest, my younger brother, he had his first drink with me. Because I was the one that said, hey, you know what? I know at some point you're going to start, looking for libations. So if you want to libate, rather you libate for the first time around someone that actually knows how to libate properly.
I thought you were going to say someone who would take care of you in case it goes left.
Well, it's the exact same thing. It's just saying that, you know what? I've been through it.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to make the mistakes that I made. So that's the kind of stuff, you know. And hey, there was one time, my younger brother's a fool as well. There was one time where he got a little too excited, and I was like, god damn it. So I had to just toss him in the car, and I drove him home, and I'm like, you know what, I'll make sure mom doesn't find out. So that's just, so no more details, because I don't know who's going to be listening to this.
You never know. You don't want to implicate yourself. Okay. But
and I remember him waking up the next morning, and he says, you know what, good looking out. And I'm like, because if I don't watch your back, who's going to do it, right?
All right.
So in that sense, like I've been an older brother pretty much my entire life. I mean, from the age of 3. So that kind of stuff kind of comes naturally to me.
Okay.
So
I just mean in that sense, it's great that you like, and it naturally comes, and that your brothers are comfortable enough to, I guess, confide in you, and they would ask you first, because how important are friendships for you, I guess, in the whole idea of masculinity growing up, your peers? Have you found a tribe? You did say you have good friends who call you out, but have you found this tribe and you're like, okay, we're going up together, iron sharpens iron, these are the people I come to with problems? And
absolutely. I am fortunate, and I count myself very fortunate, to have a couple of friend groups, actually. So I've got one friend group that I've known since first year. It's predominantly female, and they are one of the biggest reasons as to why I am the way that I am, particularly when it comes to approaching relationships, or like talking to women, or trying to, like, they are a major reason as to why I am the way that I am, because
are the conversations very different? It's interesting that you said it's predominantly female. So are the conversations very different from the friends group? Because you're attributing a lot of the person you are from the conversations and everything else from the friendship with that group. But what of the friendship with the guys? Like
the friendship with the guys, that's when we have just very real conversations. So if one of us says something that's offside about, you know, like drinking too much, or, you know, like bullying someone or something, like we check each other on something, like, yo, don't be a knob.
Okay.
Like seriously, like, don't be that person. And then we have very honest conversations. Yes, it's, you know, sprinkled with a little bit of humor once in a while, but that's just to lighten the mood, because these conversations aren't comfortable.
Yeah, they are.
They are not pleasant conversations to be having. So we kind of do that as a means of just dealing with very tricky conversations, just as a whole. But what I've noticed is that with my friend groups, the conversations that I have with my female friends and the conversations that I have with my male friends are inherently different, because the male experience is different from the female experience.
Of course.
So the conversations are inherently different, but when you put them together, the core lesson that can be pulled away, at least for myself, is try your very best to actually listen and understand other people's perspectives, and be patient, because it's not easy for some people to actually talk about certain things.
That's true.
So you just have to be patient and hear them out and say, you know what, okay, if this is where you're at, this is how you feel about this, help me understand. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to make your life a little bit more difficult or anything of that nature. I just want to better understand so that I can be a better friend.
Okay. So I guess, of course, in life, it's good to be well-rounded. So it's not like there'll be a guy who only has guy friends. So you seem to have benefited from having this friend group of females. So would you recommend that guys at least include more females in their lives as friends? At least just have these discussions to grow?
Yeah, I really think that they should, but they also need to have the self-control to not try anything. You know what I mean?
People can be just friends. Look at you.
No, yeah. Like people absolutely can just be friends, but, you know, some people, they just kind of go, she looks pretty. She looks pretty. It's like, but dude.
So you've never had that problem?
I have. But with this specific group of friends, it's straight up just like, you know what, we've been friends for so long that crossing that line now at this point feels
weird.
Very.
Yeah, you're almost like siblings.
Very weird. So weird. Because like we've been through like really bad breakups together. Like we've helped each other through very uncomfortable conversations about life, school, issues at home, stuff like that. So once you have that kind of a bond with someone and you want to cross that line, it almost feels, you know, it's just it's just
Yeah,
you know, it's like,
I
no,
know what
like,
you mean.
no, like, you're attractive, but
No, let's not do that.
that ain't it, sis. That ain't it. It's just
Okay. So if you were to have, I guess, a lesson or words to impart to, I guess, the younger generation that's coming up of African men, what would you tell them?
You know what? You should call this segment Last Words of Wisdom.
No, we're not yet at the last words because it's like
okay,
we've
my bad.
reflected. Yeah, no, it's just because
my bad.
we're looking at the past of where we came from and then
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you're at now. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you have siblings, but there are people who maybe who don't have an older brother, who don't have a dad or uncle in their life. So it's just words sort of to them about where you are in life.
Jeez. Okay, so if I had to offer just one piece of advice or sort of one thing that I would highly recommend is don't be afraid to have uncomfortable conversations, because it's very easy for people, not just men, it's very easy for people to get comfortable with where they're at and not be as open to certain conversations that might go against their beliefs.
Yeah.
So it can literally just be as simple as, if you're a liberal, you watch a video from like Fox News.
That's
right?
hard.
It is very difficult, trust me.
Yeah.
But I've been doing that and I don't like what I see.
Yeah.
Because facts seem to be optional.
Yeah. And stories change a lot. Facts,
Objective
numbers,
facts.
yeah.
And before people come at me, honestly, I'm sorry, but like objective facts, like observable phenomena, they kind of go, let's talk with our feelings instead. But it's just about being open to having very uncomfortable conversations, whether you want to or they kind of just happen. Like, don't clam up and say, you know what, I don't know where this is going and I don't know if I'm really good with it, but yeah, we're not going to do that. It's just, it's never easy to do that. But once you do actually open yourself up to having these conversations, I guarantee you, your human experience will be far better for it. Far better for it.
That's insightful and applicable to everyone, really.
Yeah, I know.
So wise, BK. I have
Just dropping wisdom. You wanna know what's funny? People often hear me talk and they go, but he's just talking nonsense, this one. Like, what intelligent thing does he have to say? I went to school.
No, we know you went to school. He got the paper, the degree.
The $120,000 piece of paper. They went, I graduated.
Man.
Mama made it. I'm educated. Come on.
You are educated
Yeah,
in the school of life and SFU.
Check it. Come on. Check it out. Come on.
Okay, but I'll just ask you. We tried to deep dive into all of this, but I'll just ask you, what do you enjoy about being a man? The good sides, at least. It's not the obvious, maybe like sexism, but just what because there's things like I enjoy being black. I know it comes with its own.
It comes with its problems,
sufferings, but there's
when
the culture.
Sun comes out,
yeah,
you don't
exactly.
burn, say,
Yeah. So what do you enjoy about being a guy?
What do I enjoy about being a guy? First of all, I really enjoy having a super low voice, because I can turn on my Luther Vandross whenever I want. I can just go, hey, what's going on? Yeah. I can turn it on whenever I want, and it freaks some people out. Like, dude, what the hell?
Okay.
Because I can go like super
I
low.
can lower my voice.
Yes, sweet Jesus. Let's not do that. Let's not. We're not.
Okay, sure. Okay, so that's one.
Yes, and like honestly, just not having to worry about the pain of childbirth.
Yeah, there's that too.
Because yay. I watched a YouTube video and it was a stand-up comedian, and she said, I was in labor for 36 hours, but my best friend was in labor for 72. And I'm like, time out, hold on. You were in labor for 3 days.
Yes.
3 days.
Yes.
And apparently this poor woman still had to have a C-section. I'm like, yo, so let me get this straight. You went through all this for no reason.
That's the joys of being a woman.
Yeah,
So.
joy.
Yeah.
Having to push a watermelon-sized human being out
You
of
are a watermelon-sized being, but how else would we
Oh.
have lives? So it has to be done, and women are amazing.
Jack.
Give us our flowers.
Hey, look, here we go. Back to this Valentine nonsense.
No, I don't mean that. I just mean give us our flowers and give us our props.
Yeah, of
Not
course.
literal
Oh, no,
flowers,
yeah, of course. Because for me, women are unicorns. I don't know how you guys do what you do, but more power to y'all, because you guys are amazing.
Pat's shoulder.
Women are amazing creatures. You guys can deal with pain that men can't even imagine. You guys deal with nonsense on the regular from society, and your own bodies hate you once a month. It's insane. And you guys still like put on all this makeup, look all pretty, and walk around like, I slay. I'm like, yes, yes, do it. Come on, walk around with that confidence. I call it confidence.
Confifi.
Confifi. You know that?
Yeah.
That super confidence. You know that confidence that you have, like when your shoes are on point.
I did
your
that.
dress is nice.
I did that.
Your hair's laid dope.
Yeah.
Your makeup's fleeky. Your brows are clean, and you
Okay.
walk up and people look at you like,
How do guys feel about not having makeup?
Hey,
I know guys wear makeup today, but it's like if you're born that way, that's it. Like, this is me. Here I am.
I don't think I have a right to have an opinion on it.
I'm not asking you, but some people are just resentful, I guess. It's like you're either ugly or broke. Like, you can't be both.
There's no such thing as being rich and ugly.
Exactly.
I've seen those memes. Oh my god. Right. So here's my take on it, right? From my understanding, the purpose of makeup is to enhance.
Yeah, enhance what's already
Not
there.
to change.
Yeah.
I take okay. Controversial take.
Yeah.
But I don't really care. My take on it is that if you are wearing so much makeup that your face literally transforms, why are you lying to the world? Why are you lying to me? You
You're
think
just showing them what you could be.
yeah, what
But
you could
that's
be, but that's not what you
artistry
want.
that you're showing off. It's your skill that's being displayed.
Yes, but again, this boils down to the basic conversation that we were trying to have. Makeup, from my understanding, is to enhance, not to completely reimagine.
This is me just asking. I guess, okay, guys' only option, I guess, is to work out, but not everyone has the body type that leads to abs, or like a six-pack and
Of course,
a chiseled body.
I've had a gut for years.
So
okay.
I just wonder how it is navigating that. Are there days, do you ever have ugly days where you're just like,
Sister, I had an ugly day yesterday. Yeah, my hair was a riot. No, not yesterday, like a week ago.
yeah.
It was about a week ago, and I hadn't like touched up my locks, and these things were looking scraggly.
Struggle.
Yo. There was a nice little afro puff going on under each lock, and I'm looking at them in the mirror, and I'm going, "Hey,
Yeah.
but Mudiwa, why? Just why?" When I say that there was undergrowth, I'm talking
Like
about
how many
Amazon.
inches?
I'm like 2. I'm talking about Amazon rainforest undergrowth. Yeah, the sort
Okay.
of growth that legitimately made my locks
How
look like they
how
were
often
levitating.
do you get the touch-ups? So it means your hair grows pretty fast.
Every 6 weeks.
Okay.
Every 6 weeks, roughly. But it was interesting because I kind of looked at myself, and then I realized that, you know what? I don't have foundation to work with.
Yeah.
I don't have eyeliner. I don't got no blush. I can't do no contour things. That little like sponge that looks
Yo,
like a
men
teardrop
can
thing.
contour. You know, get yourself cheekbones and.
Here's the truth. I don't have the face for it, yo. I don't have the face for contouring. If you know me in
Have
real
you
life,
tried to contour?
someone tried to put makeup on me, and I looked at my face, and I'm like, nah.
I mean, it's not for everyone. Even some
Exactly.
people, yeah.
So I just said, you know what, like, I need to fix my hair, otherwise I am going to look homeless.
So is that like so maybe a haircut is what make for men, because some people have the haircuts look so fresh, and the confidence, you have the confifi. So when you get your locks done, is that at max confifi and no one can tell you anything? And
Madam, when I am at max confidante,
yeah,
it's when I have a suit on.
Oh,
Sister.
yeah. So you look
no
good.
one can tell me anything whenever I don't care. My own mother one time, she said, Mudiwa, can you please calm down? And I said, no mother, I am wearing a suit and I am loving myself. I feel amazing. I am untouchable. I am impeccable. I am undeniable. Come on, look at the tie. Look at the way the lapels just right down the come on, mother, you can't deny this. And she just said, this is what I've raised.
Imagine that. And then where does a beard fall into all of this?
Look,
are you beard
that's
gang?
rude. That is rude. That is so rude, because you know I don't have a beard.
I'm just asking. I'm trying to break it down. So
I
we've
can't
talked about
grow
makeup.
facial hair.
Exactly. So there's like all of these things that people can't
relate.
help.
I can't relate.
But
No,
I'm just
upset.
so-
I can't relate.
Do you calm down, please?
I'm sensitive, Kani.
Okay, so I guess this is a sensitive topic. So I guess men are very sensitive about beard gang.
Literally, my facial hair doesn't grow, but I've accepted it. I like my baby face.
Have you really accepted it?
I have accepted it.
Okay.
You want to know why?
Uh-huh.
Because if I have a beard, you can't see my dimple, and my dimple is the most adorable thing on my face.
Okay,
Exactly. I've
okay.
accepted it. You
I
want to know
mean,
why?
it's
Because
working
I'm
for you.
not going bald. I have
Oh,
a
yeah,
head full of hair.
yeah.
I have a head full of hair. So I'm like, you know what? I would rather have hair on my head than
Then
head.
here,
Than,
on my chin. Okay.
like I would rather do that, because this, like, hair on
Yeah,
top of your
it's
head,
full,
once
yeah.
it's gone, it's gone. There's no
There's man weaves.
sister,
Catch
please.
up to it.
Let's not even get into those abominations. Those
It's not an
things.
abomination. It's giving people a fresh look at life, because people's esteem is really ruined by balding. I can't imagine going bald at 20, and not everyone is ready.
Do you want to know what my take on it is?
Uh-huh.
My take on it is that if you were going bald, based off of human biology, you should have facial hair.
Oh, so most people who are bald do have facial hair. Yeah,
Right.
I've seen a couple of bald-headed guys.
Shave it off, and buy as much beard oil as you can and apply it liberally.
Okay.
Grow out that beard. Just pull off a Morris Chestnut or a Steve Harvey, even a Dave
not
Chappelle.
A Steve Harvey, though.
I'm not talking about like just the mustache.
Yeah,
I'm talking about
yeah.
like the full like
Okay.
goatee thing, or even pull a Ricky Rouse Rosé. You can do it. Just don't man. Speaker, I saw a video today of a man that was given dreadlocks.
Yeah, I mean,
had
man weave.
He had
So many possibilities.
like,
Sorry.
like when I say this man had nothing up top, I literally mean he had nothing. Like, legitimately, you could grab a microfiber cloth and go wiki, and you could see your face on this man's scalp. There was nothing there. And then this dude, he grabbed like plugs or whatever, and like it looked like a toupee kind of thing, and
Yeah.
he glued it on and even lined up the thing, and he
I
shaved.
feel it's life changing. I'm all for it.
I personally, at this point in my life, I can't get behind it, because
Would you try beard weave just for fun? Who knows? No?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. Because for me, as far as I'm concerned, if I ever go bald, which is highly unlikely, but if I ever go bald, I'm just going to embrace it. Just shave it all off.
So you'd be the guy with the bald head and no facial hair?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, because that's what life has handed me. Like, that's my lot in life, and I'm
Okay.
going to make the most of it. Like, I'm going to work with what I have. Like, I'm not going to get these prosthetics and say, oh, look at me. You want to know why?
Mm-hmm.
If you have a partner with you, right?
Yeah.
And you say, hey, babe, let's go swimming. You have to think twice. You have to go, wait, but will this, like, glued on abomination?
You can just like casually use the pool. Who said anything about dunking yourself? Just dip your feet in and that's one and done. Okay. Do men have
No.
I just like so it's all of this, but would you say men have, I guess, body positivity issues? I mean, it's impossible
Absolutely.
to imagine, but society
Absolutely.
heavily polices women's bodies.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
it would be nice to know what the other side is like.
Absolutely. So, there are actually several documentaries on Netflix right now that kind of look into this. And dysmorphia is actually body dysmorphia is actually surprisingly more common in men than people realize.
Okay.
You can have professional bodybuilders. These men are 6'4", 260 pounds, and they're like 5% body fat, like 5 to 10% body fat. These men are shredded.
Yeah.
And they will look into a camera and say straight up, "I'm too small." And you look at them and you go, "Dude,
you're a mountain.
You are so muscular, it's terrifying."
Yeah.
And you still think you're small. Body dysmorphia is a real thing. The only difference is that it's not thrown in men's faces. Like, women have it tough.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Photoshop, magazine covers,
Women
BBLs.
have it really tough. Like, women have it really tough. But men go through it as well. It's just not thrown in our faces as much. So we are a little bit desensitized to it. So when the conversation even comes up, I think it might be harder for certain men to even admit to it, because it's not something that is commonly even recognized, that men have body image issues. So for myself, for example, when I was younger, I didn't like the fact that I was as big as I was in terms of like body fat, right? And that thought still kind of lingers with me sometimes, but I'm also at a place where I recognize that within myself and I go, you know what? I've been going to the gym for X number of years and I like where I'm at because like I just like where I'm at.
Yeah.
And it took me having to have a very real introspective moment for me to realize that, you know what, this is the way you are. This is the way you were built.
Yeah.
Because I've always been a big dude. I popped out at 4.2 kilos. I was born weighing 4.2 kilos, right? I've always been on the bigger side of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so it's like, I just had to accept him and say, you know what, I'm never going to have washboard abs. And that's okay. Because I'm going to have some big ass pythons for arms. Life.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's just about just trying to be happy with what you have, which is oddly enough the same slogan that women have been chanting for the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Saying, you know what? If you like where you're at, cool. If you don't like where you're at and you want to make changes, make those changes for yourself and not because society is telling you to.
Yeah. And that's insightful. But thank you for being so open.
I have nothing to hide. I'm an open book. Actually, no, I'm lying. There are certain things about my life that I'm going to keep so far buried.
They'll be buried with you when you go.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so now we've reached the closing remarks.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much for this conversation, BK. I have learned so much, and it was refreshing for me and hopefully even for the people listening. So what do you have to tell them?
Slightly more upbeat.
Yeah.
In closing, my take on it. So, in closing, my final message would have to be: if you ever feel scared, or if you ever feel as though you're not sure where life is taking you, or if you ever feel as though you don't know how to handle certain situations, the worst thing that you can do is to let that confusion turn outward. The best thing you can do is to try and sit down, look at your situation, try and understand it as best as you can, and be honest with yourself. Can you make these changes that will make your situation a little bit better? If not, find a healthy coping mechanism.
I forgot to mention this, but I don't know. We have a very bad drinking problem in Zambia. And this could be something. So this is something I definitely love to follow up on in the future. But you're right. If you don't deal with things, they do manifest.
A healthy coping mechanism, absolutely.
And you do need something healthy to help you go by. But thanks. Do you want to tell the people maybe about your music and to look out, when they should look out for?
So right now, I just wrapped a project with the label that I'm signed to, Nyla Records, and that the entire project will be dropping sometime later on in the year. But for right now, I have a single that will probably, I'm not sure when this podcast is coming out.
No, it'll be next week, Thursday.
Next week, Thursday. Okay,
Yeah.
so I have a song out called Wrong Places. It came out on February 22nd.
Nice.
And it's essentially just a song about learning lessons from tough situations that you've gone through.
Okay.
So
Where can they find it? iTunes?
it's going to be everywhere.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's pretty much that. Your boy's on Instagram, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, of course. Plug
Your boy's
yourself.
on the gram, your boy's on the gram.
And spell it out for them. Is it just BK?
yeah,
Were you able to
nah.
get that?
My artist profile on Instagram is Biggie BK Music, BIGGIE BK Music. Follow me. I try to post as much weird and random and introspective stuff as possible. At least on the IG story. Like the actual IG page itself is pretty well curated, so we're trying to keep it, controlled and maintained. But I would love to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
And Kondwane, thank you so much for having me on.
Of course, it was my pleasure. Thank you for the
honor.
time.
It was an honor having these sorts of conversations, because it's always good to have these sort of real, introspective kind of conversations with people.
I agree.
It's always a good time.
It is a good time. Now for the libations.
Libations.
Of course. So thank you for listening. If you made it till the very end, I hope you enjoyed it. Please comment. Let us know if there's any more topics you'd like to hear, and please do visit BK's page and support him. You could be one of the people who's like, I knew him before he blew up. if that's really important to you. So please do that.
My days.
Some people care. Like, no, I don't like them because they're mainstream now and it's going to be ruined by all of that. So, I don't know. Good music should be enjoyed by everyone. So don't be that kind of person. But this is the One Kwacha podcast. This is Kondwani and BK.
Signing off.
Signing off. Goodbye.
Bum, 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 bum.